You're so selfish. You're going to die alone. Your cats are going to eat your dead body. And no one even would want to have babies with you, anyways. These were just some of the angry comments that I received when I had a reel that went viral. Which really brings me to the question, why is the world so angry at child-free women? If you're new to the space, my name is Hannah Rogers, and I decided to start making videos. Now, the purpose of these videos are they're going to be unscripted. They're going to be me talking directly to the camera. I'm not going to be editing these. And so these are going to be my unfiltered thoughts around what it means to me navigating the world as a 38-year-old who's trying to live her life with intention. Now, I usually create content on Instagram, but I decided to challenge myself and start talking about the things that I've been navigating behind the scenes. I own multiple companies. I'm trying to have an extraordinary life. I'm in the middle of writing a book. And with all of that comes a lot of feelings, comes a lot of, wow, can I really do this? And so I decided to start making videos to navigate the entire process. Now, a couple of years back, I had this video that went absolutely viral. Now, I'm not even talking about like cute viral with a couple of million views. This one went like 11 million views. And it was simply a video of me saying, I just found out what DINK means. Dual income, no kids. And, I posted this, I laughed at it, I posted it and went to bed. The next day, I woke up and I was just like, what is going on with my phone? And literally, I saw just notifications upon notifications upon notifications. And all of it was because of this one video that went absolutely viral. The comment section in this video was brutal. So brutal. You would think that I started speaking about gun violence or that I started campaigning about around people, about someone. No, I simply just said something about my lifestyle, but so many people took it personally. And that's kind of the thing that I'm wondering about the most. What is it about child-free women that real people find confronting, that people get really, really angry about? Why is there so much pushback? And when I started reflecting on this, I realized that it's not even about the decision itself. The pushback and the reaction is because people are sometimes, they feel threatened when someone else goes against the grain of what they think should be normal. Now, growing up in the Philippines, I grew up in a very, very Asian household where the pathway was set. You go to school, you go to college, you meet someone, you get married, you have kids, and then you work a job or you have a business. That is the life path. There is no alternative life path. There is no, let me go travel the world and start my own businesses while I'm gallivanting, which is exactly what I did. That was not common. And so growing up, I did not even know that choosing not to have children was possible. Growing up, all my parents' friends had kids. All my friends, obviously, eventually they started having kids as well. And the ones who didn't have kids, they were the ones who had trouble conceiving. And so this was something that I didn't even honestly think was a possibility for me. I always grew up thinking that I would eventually have my own children. But as I started traveling the world, as I started setting up my businesses, I realized that I have options and I realized that I'm not sure if I want them. Now, it's really interesting because this is actually a decision that both my husband and I are not 100% sure of. And I can openly admit this because a lot of the times people think that when you decide to be child free, this is an absolute decision. But I know from experience that life is not in absolutes and life can change at any time. You know, a decade ago, I could have never imagined this to be my life. And here we are now. And so I would never say, no, that's never going to happen, unless we do something about it medically, right? But right now, I know that it isn't for us. And I'm okay with that. But it still brings up a lot of feelings. In fact, about a couple months ago, January, which was my birthday, it was my 38th birthday. And I woke up with just like this heavy blanket of anxiety over me. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put a name on how I felt. I just felt heavy. And I was turned around. I kind of pulled the blanket, hoping I could like stay in bed a little bit longer. And then my husband kind of rolls over and he goes, "Hi, happy birthday." And he was so lovely. And then he could see that something was wrong. And he asks me one question. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I just burst into tears. I was bawling and was honestly inconsolable. And Tom, poor Tom, my husband had no clue what was happening. All he knew is he woke up, it was my birthday, he was there to greet me, and all he could see was me just bawling my eyes out. And finally, when I had calmed down, he was just like, "What's wrong?" And I go, "Do you think we'll ever regret it?" And he goes like, "Regret what?" And he goes, "Regret not having kids." And here's the thing, I say this all the time. I make a joke that birthdays have a habit of pretending to be your friend. Birthdays can be sneaky little bitches. They'll be like, yes, they come in with cake and candles, but by the end of the day, you are reassessing your life decisions, comparing it to everyone around you. And so in that moment, when I was in my little cocoon of anxiety, all the voices of these people from that viral reel just came flooding in. Will I regret it? Will we regret this decision? Maybe by the time we're in our 40s, all of a sudden we'll desire to have children and our best prime years are gone. And as I was saying those words to Tom, I hated myself for it because the sentence alone of your biological clock is running out, it sounded like something that I didn't even believe. It sounded like a phrase that was just passed on to me through generational conditioning, societal conditioning. And in that moment, even though I was so happy with my life, even though this is a choice that I actively choose to make and a decision that I make now, I found myself thinking. I found myself questioning. And I realized that whenever we do this, it's not even that you want someone else's life. It's not as if I woke up one day and go, "I want to have babies," and I see someone with kids and all of a sudden I'm like, "I want that life." No, it just makes you question because it is against what society thinks your life should look like. And I realized this is also the exact same reason why people get so mad if you express your desire to be child free, if you express your desire to live life in a completely different way. Because to them, it is an identity. Motherhood is an identity. And someone opting out of that and choosing not to do that is a personal attack to them because they now start questioning, maybe I shouldn't have had children, or maybe I shouldn't have rushed into this decision, whether they admit it or not. And this isn't a video to say that there's a right or a wrong, because truly there isn't. And this is what I want to get across. It's that people are entitled to their own decisions and should be able to make these decisions without the fear of judgment from others. For me, it wasn't as if I don't, it's not as if I don't love kids. I freaking love kids. If you are a friend of mine, you would know we'd be hanging out in a cafe. I would be all over your baby. I love kids. I was a teacher for many, many years in a past life. I was even the principal of an international school. And so it's not as if I don't want or like children. It's just that I know that in this stage of my life right now, it is not something that I desire. And yet, you still have people who try to convince you. You still have people who say, oh, once you have your own, you'll understand. Or people who be like, it's the best thing ever. And it truly is, might be the best thing ever for that person. But for people who are still unsure, there's no need to make this huge slide deck and say, this is why you need to have kids. And I've truly had friends who had sat me down and she'd be like, it is the best thing ever. You're going to regret if you don't do this. And what I realized is, and this is coming from someone who is still unsure about this, but knows that for the next, at least for the next 3 years, I choose to be child free. Now, am I swinging to be child free for the rest of my life? I think I am. But it is just one of those things that I realize that the anger of other people is not really about your life choices, but actually it's about just, it makes them question whether theirs was the right move or not. And I know that's going to be so controversial. And I'm really trying not to be controversial in this particular video. But if you think about it, this topic is controversial. Why would strangers that I barely know, strangers on the internet who I don't know, period, find it in their hearts to comment mean things like that just because someone opts to opt out of what normal looks like? And with this, with the decision to be child free, comes with baggage, comes with a lot of your friends having babies around you, comes with people judging you. Like there are so many times that we meet people. Just last night in the sauna, we were talking to this guy, and when Tom left, he was just like, oh, so you guys have been together for 11 years? And I was like, yeah. And he goes like, that's so cool. Do you have any kids? I was like, no. And his face was just like, ah, dogs? And I go, no, but I do want cats. And he's like, oh, I guess that's the first step before you start having kids. And my immediate reaction was, I wanted to ask him, I was like, well, what if we don't have kids and we actually are not planning to have two? And I had to remind myself, I was like, this is a stranger in a sauna and you don't have to justify your life choices to him. And this happens all the time. This happens all the time, and it will come with judgment. And whether it's about being child free, you opting to live a life that is outside what people think is normal, will come with judgment, will come with criticism, will come with people who think that they know better than you. But at the end of the day, what I want you to know is only you are living your life, so only you really have that final vote. And so we may be tempted to conform, we may be tempted to just do it because it's easier than explaining your life choices to people. But actually, if you are living in your truth, then you know deep inside that you're in the right path. And so there's so many arguments that people bring forward. It's like, you're selfish. I'm like, yeah, maybe I am. Or is it actually a lot more selfish to have children when you're not 100% sure that you want them? Or is it selfish to have children just to please other people, to please your parents, to please all of your friends because everyone's having babies, so you might as well start having them now? And I know that times are changing and more women are actively following their path, are actually choosing the path that makes sense to them versus whatever society just dictates. And this makes me so hopeful. But people still come to this with so much anger, with so much vitriol that sometimes it baffles me. And what's even crazier is a lot of the comments come from women. A lot of the comments come from women who are so confronted by someone else choosing something differently. And truthfully, I'm not sure if Tom and I would ever have children, but that is our decision to make because honestly, right now, it's one of those things that we're really happy about. We are so focused on our work, we're so focused on the impact. The book that I am writing right now, that feels like my baby. I've been working on it for years. And so there's so many things that we are aiming to do. We want to scale our companies to 8 figures. And right now, the thought of having a child does not fit into that equation. But it really makes me wonder how so many people are pressured into living life in a certain way simply because everyone around them is doing it. Simply because society says this is normal, this is what you should want. When sometimes the best thing that you can really do is stop, ask yourself, is this the right path for me? Is this the path that I actually really want? Or is this the path that was just passed on and inherited to me? Is this the path that was just said, here you go, this is what life should look like? And so I realized that a lot of the time we spend our lives in a constant state of comparison, in a constant state of this person is ahead and this person is here. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And if we're not careful, we enter this vicious cycle of just doing things, not because we want to, not because we're choosing to, or not because we're intentionally choosing to do that, to go down that life path, but because it's what everybody does. And something that I've learned over the last couple of years of really going against the grain and stopping and pausing and really asking myself, is this my truth? Is this what I want? You know, having the courage to be disliked and the willingness to keep choosing your own path, no matter if no one else understands. And sometimes it's really this dance that you have to go through where you keep listening to your inner voice, you keep listening to your intuition without finding the need to justify yourself to others. And so, will the world ever stop being angry at child-free women? No. It's the same reason why the world will never stop being angry at gay people, at trans people, at people who are just going about their everyday lives and living, because there is, in people's eyes, a right way and a wrong way. But at the end of the day, who are we to judge? Because we are the only people that is currently living our lives. And so we should be the only ones that have a vote in how it is truly being lived. And so if you enjoy long conversations just like this, where I just share my heart, subscribe, hit like, send me a DM, comment below. I don't even know how YouTube works, but I'd love to hear from you. If this hit a chord, if this resonated, if you're going to tell me that I'm going to die alone with my cats, well, you can comment as well. But at the end of the day, be kind. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know how they're feeling. You don't know if this is a choice that they made intentionally or if they physically can't conceive. Like, there's so many factors, and so many people feel like they're entitled to an opinion on other people's lives when really they aren't. So at the end of the day, you, be kind to others, and march to the beat of your own drum, as cliche as that sounds.